Sick of the same old news that's more snooze than news? Then crank up the volume for Skyfire News, the only broadcast that's literally out of this world.
As an astrophysicist, I can tell you that the universe is full of mysteries, but with Skyfire, you can uncover some of those mysteries from your phone in your pocket.
I've tangoed with tales so top secret, they're stored on the dark side of the moon. Skyfire News, it's like they've hacked the galactic mainframe, serving up scoops so juicy, they make Area 51 look like a public library.
With unrivaled extraterrestrial expertise and interstellar insights, Skyfire News brings you the latest from the final frontier. We're not just ahead of the curve, we're bending space-time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Skyfire Live. We got all your UFO news in one spot. You don't got to go anywhere else for it. We're doing it every day here. Today is no exception in the terms of like wild ass stories that we got for us coming up. Upcoming first, we have, honestly, this one's a wild one. Rockstars Fred Durst and Billy Corgan are going to start a new UFO and conspiracy theory podcast on Bill Maher's new network. Both these guys have their own experiences. They talk about it enough. I'm glad they're going to have their own topic, their own little show for it. SETI at Home, which is something we're going to go into. It's different than SETI, but essentially the search for extraterrestrial intelligence has maybe found something. Professor Simon Holland talked about it this morning, and he spilled some beans that I think are gonna wow the world, to say the least. And in Portland, Oregon, my very own hometown, at the community college over here in Portland, Oregon, a lot of my friends went there. They're going to start a new UFO class. I don't think it's accredited, and I don't think it's going to count for literally any credits whatsoever, but at the same time, kind of exciting. The guy who's hosting the class, he's got his own stories too. He actually interviewed Ryan Graves a while back. So that's going to be a whole new thing to go into. And I might actually visit the class at some point to check that out. We also got some other side stories. There was a UFO sighting over a nuclear power plant in India, and Joe Rogan has recently weighed in on the MH370 videos of Ashton Forbes, who will be joining us later tonight. I just got confirmation. Without further ado, we got Red Panda Koala in the mix. Red, let's go through the news, man.
Let's do it, Tupa. Let's shout out some of the chat first, too.
Oh, the chat go crazy today, dude.
What
it's
we got
going
today?
nuts.
Oh, dude, chat was going nuts today. Anthony Jones, Armstrong with the $10 super chat.
Dude, is Anthony Jones a new member? Did he just become a new member today?
He did become a member.
Yes. Thank you, Anthony, dude.
We also have another new member, B. B became a member today. Thank you, B.
Queen B in the house.
Alien Girl says, hola, alien people.
Hola, back at you.
See, how are we living? Good morning, Tupa Red and Skyfire News, folks. London calling. Ghost 915, evening call.
Good morning over there.
Aussie Tiger, good day, all. Spark Zap Zach, sup. And yeah. And, you know, so stoked to be able to get into Skyfire News on the ground floor.
Awesome. We're glad you guys are here.
Get Ashton on to talk about the Ross Coulthart podcast, which I just saw that too. So not only did Joe Rogan weigh in on that, Ross Coulthart's new podcast today was about MH370, and he did not hit up Ashton.
He didn't get Ashton on the show. Guys, we got him on the show. We're going to go over how he feels about what Joe Rogan said and Joe Rogan's guest said. He'll pop in as he pops in, but really good to see the chat popping off like this.
Oh, and look, we got JK Philly fan, we got Zach, and we got Lou Elizondo in the live chat. Thank you, Lou. Thanks for being here, bud.
Yes.
Armstrong, where's the member option too? But can you let the people know how to become a member?
Oh, there's a join button under the video on YouTube, so go there. We have not started to stream to Skyfire on Twitter yet. I kind of want to see how healthy this YouTube audience is, and so far it's kind of robust. Like, we're glad to have you guys in here, dude. We got new members. Yeah, find the join button. Join up, become a member. We got new content coming out, some deep dives, some backstage stories and content. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to dive into. So,
oh, and Dorothy Hawkins, we love Dorothy Hawkins.
Oh, good to see you,
Tupa and Red Panda Koala. Great to see you, Dorothy.
Yes.
All right, well, should we get into the news then?
Yeah, I'm actually pumped about this one. I'm pumped about
this is like right up your alley.
It is. So I'm from this generation who knows who Billy Corgan and Fred Durst are at a glance. So, these guys were the rockers when I was a kid. And recently, like, even Billy Corgan and Fred Durst have shared their experiences, and they've had some really weird ones, but they're rock stars. They're rock royalty. I mean, their bands, they still play their music today. And when Billy Corgan was on when he was on Howard Stern, this guy told a story that kind of shocked the world. And he goes on again, and Howard tells him, he's like, bro, you gotta finish the story. Tell us what you saw. Because he said he saw someone shapeshift into like a reptilian or an alien. Which when you hear a guy like this say it, like, on TV, it kind of like, wait, say what? So we have a clip of that. I'm going to play it. We're going to try to skim through it.
Real quick, Tupa, real quick. Billy Corgan is from...
Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Great band. And Fred Durst is from Limp Bizkit.
Fred Durst is from Limp Bizkit, and he's a character in and of himself. But
I knew Billy Corgan was into UFO stuff. I didn't know about Fred Durst, so that's cool.
It is, and he talked to Bill Maher. We got a clip of him talking to Bill Maher. He seems to know his stuff. It's cool as a ufologist to find one of these guys who actually seems like one of us. So I would say, like, Fred Durst, if you didn't do it all for the nookie, if you're not a Fred Durst fan, you know what I mean? Still, if you're into UFOs, why not have a guy like Fred Durst talk about it? And the same thing goes with Billy Corgan. They're going to talk about conspiracy theories, dude. They have all this juicy information about record labels from the 90s and all this crazy stuff. I think it's going to get juicy.
Oh. Michael Fergoso just became a member. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Dude, I think we have a song or we have to start playing some kind of sound effect.
So nowadays I'm all about the fatty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all...
I love that. It's my favorite clip. Okay, without further ado, let's find out what Billy Corgan and Fred Durst think about aliens and conspiracy theories so we can get excited or not about what they're about to do. Let's go, Billy.
Friend, you made major news the last time you were here. Did you realize that?
About the alien, the shapeshifter.
Yeah, you dropped a bombshell. Every paper picked it up.
Let's just say I was with somebody once, and I saw a transformation that I can't explain.
The person transformed into something other than human.
Yes, I saw it.
You were talking to someone. They said to you, "Look, something's going to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to morph into something else."
Imagine you're doing something, and suddenly you turn around and there's somebody else standing there.
You still standing by it?
Absolutely. Wow. I know it happened. In fact, it happened twice.
And
on top of that, what's
literally
amazing is we live in a world where, look, I've been in public life on some level for 30 years.
Yep.
People treat it as if I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm here to say, like, now maybe I had a hallucination, but I saw what I saw.
Right. You saw it. It's your reality.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, to question somebody's reality is a strange thing.
I saw what I saw. All right. Crazy story. We don't have to play the whole clip. We don't need Howard Stern on our back. But here's Fred Durst talking about UFOs with Bill Maher.
On like 0-point energy or the UFOs and UAPs and things happening.
What's 0-point energy?
0-point energy is a technology that's been around for a long time that's been kind of dark shelved and buried, that you could take energy from the vacuum in space to power everything we need. Your home, power your whole...
The vacuum in space?
Yes. So what happens is we don't need to plug into the power grid. We don't need to have this primitive kind of energy situation that we're...
Oh, we don't need him to explain all that to us. But that's fascinating, right? And so the reason why this is happening is Bill Maher launched his own podcast network called Club Random Studios, okay? And so when he did it, like, he got Fred Durst and Billy Corgan to basically fill a time slot. And so they started their little podcast.
That's what happened.
Yes, that's the inception point behind it. And but I love it. The way he talked about 0 point was just how I talk to my friends. You get a little stoned and you're talking their ear off.
Did you notice that sorry, I need to be better at that. The Billy Corgan clip, when he was first retelling the story, that must have been like the same day or the same week as the TTSA press conference. It was October 2017. Just kind of a weird little thing happening there, huh?
There's something in the air. There's something in the
Yeah.
air. Maybe it flows through us all, right? And we start talking about our crazy stuff. I love that he says, I saw what I saw. That's like a classic UFO. Like, dude, we're a believer. We're a believer. So that's the long and short of our Billy Corgan, Fred Durst situation.
Billy, Fred, come on, come talk to Skyfire News. We know a lot about UFOs. Pick our brains.
For real. For real, dude. That'd be awesome. I bet you, no, honestly, in about a year's time or whenever they get their stuff up and going, dude, I bet you there'll be some cross stuff here. We'll be able to get on their show, chat with them. What a thing. Chat with some like of my icons, right? These guys were on MTV every day when I was a kid.
New super chat, Dorothy Hawkins. Love seeing you on YouTube, you two.
Well,
we love seeing you here in the live
too,
chat.
right? We love seeing you guys here too. Can't thank you guys enough, dude. We got our mods in the mix. Thanking everybody, dude. Michael Frasago, dude. I love that. I love seeing new members in here, man. That we find the news valuable. Hope you guys do too. Now this next story, I've been talking to your guys' ear off, but this one kind of blew me away. Like, this is a big deal. You want to get into it, Red? Can I explain this to you?
Yeah, break it down for them, and then I'll
okay
play the clip I have ready.
Okay, so Simon Holland, he's a professor, right? He's also a YouTuber. He's been making his rounds with this story. So first of all, the claim is, Red, did you know that in the 1990s, SETI or a project there within has found something, that a wow signal, some signal was found, and no one talks about it.
It's from the 70s, actually, I believe.
Well, this one, the wow signal is from the 70s. This signal is completely different. And so what happened is, and this is kind of, I don't know, dude, to find out that there were signals detected in the 1990s that were like almost definitive. All right, definitive. And how this happened was, of course, SETI is a pretty big organization, but SETI, there's all these different like sister organizations as well. And while we have the technology to gather in all the like the radio signals and stuff from the entire universe, we don't have the people or the manpower to go through all that data. So while we have these instruments to collect it, back then in the 90s, we didn't have anyone to sift through it. And so they really narrowed their searches down into very narrow bands of like possibilities. And because of that, they left a bunch of blind spots. So one way to kind of fill these blind spots was to create something where it was more crowdsourced, like a crowdsourced way to sift through the data. And this is kind of a novel thing that happened in the 90s. So first of all, American SETI, like, disregarded this plan altogether, but this Italian group of mathematicians, they had a different plan. And so what normally SETI was looking for was direct messages, direct signals from an alien race saying, hey, we're here. What this group in Italy wanted to do in the 90s, they figured, you know what, like maybe there's just these civilizations out there that might be producing radio signals, but they're not trying to contact anybody. So what if we're looking in the wrong place? Why don't we find a way to monitor or identify passive signals? And the way they did this, dude, is kind of bananas. So what they looked for instead of direct signals was signals that matched like the Doppler effect, that had a Doppler effect, which if you've ever heard a police siren go by, it like raises in pitch and then lowers in pitch. And so that's what they were looking for, was radio signals coming from the universe that matched this thing, because they figured, hey, if there was a signal out there coming from a planet that's spinning around, that it might exhibit a Doppler effect. Well, back in the 90s, again, they didn't have a ton of funding. So what they did was this group created something called Boink, which was software, and it ran a screensaver in the background of people's computers who volunteered to like basically use it as a screensaver. And this software was running calculations on these signals in the background during the screensaver. At its peak, Boink had about 2 million users, and so they were just basically sending out thousands of bits of information to be analyzed to these 2 million users. They spread it out, and like, cool idea. But American SETI looked through this data and found nothing. They didn't find what they were looking for. There was no direct signal. These Italian mathematicians who used the Doppler effect as a way to filter out the noise, they found something. They actually found 18 different signals that could be being produced from foreign or extraterrestrial technology. They found 18 different sources of information that was coming from these different places, and they just kind of zeroed in on it. So in the 90s, they found 18 so-called wow signals, right? Now, like, of course, if science isn't backing this up, it's kind of like whatever, but they are. So again, this is like the EU now, right? The EU has funded this stuff. They are now funding it up to upwards of $25 billion are being put into this program. Okay, $25 billion or euros, sorry, are invested in this now, right? To start analyzing the data, because it seems to be that they did find something. This isn't some fringe thing where they're going to find out, oh, it was a volcano on Mars. No. In fact, what Simon said, what Professor Simon Holland said, Red, is that since they've been analyzing these signals, they've actually identified data, and some of the data, this is what he said he was told by a scientist friend of his, some of the data has images in it. It has images in it, just like the movie Contact, dude. Like some of this signal coming out that they're able to pull. So that means that there's an alien race just sending out images using radio signals and television like we are. It's a crazy thing. So basically what Simon says in this is that we are, what we don't know is that in the background, there are scientists sifting through data that may confirm alien life already, and we haven't even been looking at it. We just missed it. So that's the big scuttlebutt there. We saw everyone on UFO Twitter noticed that this guy's face is being thrown around and it's about some signal, but what does it mean? And so that's the best breakdown we got.
Yeah, you broke that down beautifully too, but now I kind of know exactly what he's talking about. Let's watch the clip for the people. But before we do, let's shout out all the new members in chat today. Once again, we had B, Anthony Jones, and Michael Fregoso become members today. That's awesome, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's play this clip.
They've resolved. My source tells me they've resolved some signals. He's telling me that they found discernible, unique information encoded in the global ET signal. What is it, says I? Decoding what they have found is a big part of this project.
I hope.
What he was prepared to say is their pictures, their data. What exactly alien ET pictures would look like is really fascinating. I hope what I've told you today is enough to convince you that massive funding is being spent on a mega project, a global EU-run telescope network. Why are they doing it? And when will they reveal what they found? The truth is out there.
Wow.
We got a believer in Dr. or Professor Simon Holland, friend of the show. Dude, he's convinced, right? They got images now. I mean, it sounds like exactly what we're looking for. Passive signals out there in the universe that reveal that people are doing what we're doing. Transmitting signals from people to people with full of images and data and music and all kinds of stuff. I mean, what are we going to find? Red, any prediction what the first alien picture or JPEG is going to be? Is it going to be a meme?
I think it would be funny. They're kind of trolls, right? Everything we learn about them, they love to troll us. But I don't know. Pretty big claim. Hopefully he delivers on it. We got a guest backstage, and maybe you might want to weigh in.
Ooh, yes, true friend of the show. Let's bring him in.
Let's bring him in.
All right, guys. Ashton Forbes, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing, man?
Jazz hands. What's up, everybody? Welcome. I've been been jumping around from stream to stream tonight. It's been awesome. Good to be here with you guys on Skyfire News. It's been a lot of stuff going on recently. I saw you guys were just posting the Professor Simon Holland, I believe his last name is, right?
That's right.
I love this guy. My first introduction to him was when I saw his video he did about faster than light communication, where his source told him, no, we've got faster than light communication. We've had it figured out. It's just not being told to the public. He went over evanescent waves. I clipped some of his stuff. I posted on his comments and said, hey, this is one of the best videos I've seen. And he liked it. And I appreciated that. So nice. I think that's cool, man. I think that the idea that we might have a signal out there from another race, another non-human intelligence out there is very exciting. Very exciting news.
Agreed. And I like the way that it's coming through. Not this weird, like, oh, they sent us a signal. We just happen to catch some like rogue signals because that's coming our direction. We can detect it. I'm fascinated now about this faster than light communication. Sounds very three-body problem-y. You know what I mean? Like a lot of this stuff does.
Great
weird.
timing.
It's weird. What do they say? Art imitates life, or life imitates art. It's one of the two. But yeah, that's
Yeah, I was gonna say, really interesting too. But what you said, and you broke it down. I feel like we're gonna get more once they unleash AI on some of this stuff, where it's just been collecting data, but they just haven't had like the manpower to go through it all. Who knows
you
what we'll
gotta.
get.
I mean, I suspect that they've been doing that. I suspect that they've been allowing AI to run over these or run through these problems in the background, and as they get answers, they're not sharing them. That's my suspicion. I mean, chat, what do you guys think? Have they been using AI to like dissect and determine some things that are like these world mysteries that we didn't have the data sets for or enough manpower to dig into? Have they solved some of these problems and just didn't tell us? Weigh in.
I mean, I think so. I for sure, and the place that they started at first is surveillance apparatus. So they have built these database farms that are pulling everybody's information. It goes back to Edward Snowden when he told us about the surveillance apparatus. It was possible. And then the way you sift through all that is AI, because otherwise it's an ocean of information that you can't get through. So you use AI, look for keywords, look for information like that. You flag it, you send it up the pole. And that's how our surveillance apparatus potentially works. I think some of the cooler applications in the future are going to be how they look through stuff to find metamaterials that we don't even know potentially can exist yet, to hypothesize about what types of properties, certain combinations that the atomic layer of elements can produce for us, as well as stuff like encryption. I was talking to somebody who's very well connected in the let's say, I don't know if intelligence is the right area, but technology of the government. And they mentioned how we've got encryption and encryption breaking capabilities that are essentially like magic to what people would think in the public sphere. So AI and quantum computers, I think, are linked together. And I think that they're going to help usher us into a new technological advancement in age, potentially.
Damn. I think I echo that sentiment. I do. I mean, we have like those documentaries done by, was it something Ian? I always forget his name, dude. But he does some great stuff. Hypernormalization he did, and in this film Hypernormalization, he talked about like Cambridge Analytica and these companies that were already working with big data sets using basically like giant building size supercomputer farms that are underground in like Nevada, right? And they're like using these computer farms to like mine this data, even from consumer data to whatever, to make predictive models about what people are going to be doing. And like that was back in the day. Like, what are they doing now?
Did you ever watch House of Cards? Were you guys ever into that show by any chance?
No.
So if not, there was one of the seasons actually had a subplot where their tech guy used a computer program to basically sift through social media information to determine trends and use those trends to basically cheat the election. And I thought that was funny because it was literally what Cambridge Analytica was doing, just in the open. And I laughed because I was watching the show and I'm going, this, and they actually like arrest the guy as some kind of huge plot. And I'm going, the only difference between this and reality is in the real world, it's not illegal. And in the show, it was illegal. And I'm surprised you knew about Cambridge Analytica because, yeah, that is one of the, or at least was, probably still is, in my opinion, one of these somewhat evil organizations that is in the background. You imagine how much information they can glean. People think, and this is something that I'm actually pretty well versed in my job, is they think that, oh, well, my private information, like they can't know anything about me if you don't know my name. But they don't need your name. That doesn't make any difference to them. They can look at all the other factors of who you are and the stuff that you click on and the stuff that you look into, and then they can build a profile for you. And then your name is just a header. They call you person A if they want to, and they know that person A is going to go buy a Prada bag, or they're going to go search for a UFO video or what have you.
Yeah.
And they can know what you're going to do before you even know it. That's the stuff that's extremely scary.
Yeah, that's how they get those. You get ads, right? And you're like, I swear I didn't even say it. They just know because you're just like a bunch of other people out there.
It's true. A lot of people think that we're being listened to all the time, and that's how they know. But I think what's more uncomfortable and what's scary for people to think about is maybe we're so predictable, maybe we're so programmable that like these things are all able to be like, we could be influenced subconsciously to do X or Y. And so these ads come up not as a way to say, hey, we were listening, but as a way to say, hey, you're listening. But who knows?
Well, let's get into this next story before a little fun one from Tupa's hometown. And then we're going to get into what happened with Joe Rogan, dude. But
Dude,
first, yeah.
Dude, this story, dude, I love this. So They're teaching a UFO class in the Portland Community College. A lot of my friends got their degrees there, their associates. So it's interesting. So one of them's a teacher over there. Now we get to find out why they do it. So this is actually kind of gets a little fun. Brian Anslinger is a reporter for KATU News, and if you remember the clip of all the people from from the media saying like this is a threat to our democracy, the Sinclair Media Group repetition, KAT News found its way on that montage. So I'm not saying that this guy over here is a government shill, but I'm just saying Brian Anslinger's from that network, and this is what he said. Having been looking at this subject for a long time and different aspects of it, I thought, gosh, if you see what's happening on Capitol Hill or read headlines, I don't know how you make sense of what's actually going on. And he's right. So the idea is to go through UFO coverage and UAP coverage in the media and then dissect it as a class. I think that's a genius idea. How it goes over, I don't know. Again, the class is not accredited. I don't think you can walk out of here with a degree in UFOs yet. I mean, isn't there someone who did though? That we always forget. Actually, the only person who has a degree in UFOs, but
Jeffrey Mishlove has a degree in parapsychology or some of that.
Jeffrey Mishlove, friend of the show. Actually love Jeffrey Mishlove. So yeah, Brian Anslinger, good for you, dog. If you see this video, I'm coming to the class. I'm going to do an absolute report on it. I'm going to interview you. We're going to talk about what you're going to talk about, because this was brought up about public school a couple weeks ago, right, Red? On Skyfire.
Last week.
Yes, that there was a guy that and Green Street was super opposed to basically people going into public schools and teaching about UFOs to children. I think Green Street has, I don't know, maybe some good instincts on that, but this is college. So your heart out, Green Street. These are volunteers. So like, I think this will be the class to watch.
Dude, but you should go do a guest lecture there, dude. The meme potential of you standing in front of a classroom of people.
I'm into
like
it.
A screen, dude.
I'm into it, dude. You know, someone's got to come take pictures. No one will believe that shit. What an arc.
Professor Tupa.
What an arc. No, I love PCC. I'm a fan of Portland Community College. They do good stuff. And Brian Anslinger, man, we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you, dog.
All right. Then.
Wait, real fun fact about Anslinger. He's really into UFOs. I forgot. He's actually really into it. And he interviewed Ryan Graves, I think about a year ago. Yeah. And he
for
covered
his class?
Not for his class, but he's been covering the UFO topic for a minute. Like, he's not just some rando that came from the side. For KETU or for Portland, he's kind of the UFO guy. So
we got to get him on the show.
We got to, dude. That's my goal. We're going to get him on.
The thing I like about this is that I think that a lot of figuring out about UFOlogy is looking into history. So this is where I think that it makes a lot of sense to have a class related to it, because you don't have to figure out advanced science. Just dig into the history of the people who already have dug in, have already learned about the advanced science, the people like the Thomas Townsend Browns and stuff that we've talked about, and many of the spaces and the shows that we've been doing.
Good call. TT Brown doesn't get enough love, dude. So for those who don't know TT Brown, Thomas Townsend Brown, I actually have a video on him. This would be good to play that bumper, but he was studying electrogravitics in like the 1950s. And so even earlier than that, but I think that's when he made his breakthroughs. And electrogravitics is essentially breaking the hold that gravity has on you using electromagnetism. And a lot of his prototypes and his little lab tests, the things that he was using, the objects he was using to prove that he could levitate an object, they were shaped like flying saucers, metallic discs. And there's a lot of suspicion that what Townsend Brown was doing actually did break gravity and might have even had an effect on time. Ashton, you tweeted something earlier about electrogravity or gravity, and I responded about how, like, it seems like, and this is just, I'm not a physicist or anything, but it seems like gravity could be listed as a byproduct of electromagnetism and time.
I think so. I think it definitely is. And I think that once we saw that picture of Sagittarius A star, which is the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, and you can see the huge magnetic field around the center of it, definitely begs the question of what is the relationship between electricity, magnetism, and gravity. Clearly there's one, because black holes are a giant, huge amount of gravity, essentially. It's so much that light can't escape, right? So there must be a connection there. That's why I posted that. That's why I said that when we figure out how to manipulate electromagnetism, then we can figure out how to control gravity.
Agreed.
Alrighty. Well, let's get into our next Ashton, dude, they're not letting you retire, man.
I know I'm trying so hard, but yeah, they just keep on. The hits keep coming, man. The Joe Rogan, like I guess indirect mention on Joe Rogan, getting a little bit of a joke sent my way, and then having Ross Coulthart finally drop the MH370 investigation that he did today. It's been nonstop stuff out there. You know what? I couldn't be happier regarding some of this because I think that it's hit the zeitgeist now. It's out there. People know about it. If you watched the Ross Coulthart, was it Reality Check podcast that he did about MH370, the chat was lit up with people asking about me, why I'm not talking about me.
Did they mention you at all?
No, it didn't at all.
Oh.
And it's interesting because if he had Florence DeChangi, I think is how do you pronounce her name? He pronounced her name with a French accent I can't figure out. And she knows about me. She's mentioned the investigation on some other stuff she's done. So they definitely had a call where he said not to bring it up as well. So
Lawrence got the UAP talk, dude.
Got the talk. But here's the thing about that real quick, and then we can jump into the Joe Rogan stuff, is that Ross Coulthart is one of these UFO celebrity, influencer type people. He goes on TV. And you would think that there's a logical intersection of MH370 and we got 3 orbs disappearing the plane in 2 synchronized videos. This is the part where I've lost so much respect for people like Ross Coulthart and Jeremy Corbell, and to a lesser extent at this point, people like James Fox. But Jeremy Corbell has never put out a video that is even a fraction of as significant, as much evidence behind it as MH370 videos do. Ross Coulthart, as far as I can tell, I don't know if he's ever investigated personally anything, but certainly nothing as compelling as MH370 videos. And this is going to ruffle some feathers out there, but it's just the cold, hard truth. And this is the part where I think that for Jeremy Corbell to tell Joe Rogan that he thought those videos were bullshit without ever talking to me ever, even though you guys have seen the DMs before, never sent anything to me before. And he's pushing out there jellyfish videos and talking about there's other videos that show the anomalous stuff, but I don't have it and I can't show you. And how you got Ross Coulthart talking about, well, my sources tell me there's buried supercrafts that are super big somewhere. Like, this is nothing compared to the body of evidence that I've put forth and we've put forth with the MH370X stuff. So it seems like, doesn't it at least isn't it at least worthy of some kind of mention? Now, going back to the Joe Rogan thing that you're pulling up the various DMs, I did not show all the DMs with Joe Rogan. I never showed them. So, Joe, if you're out there, technically I didn't show all the DMs. I showed the minimum number in order for people to believe that it was real. And even after I did, they still didn't believe it was real.
It was a tasteful sharing of DMs.
It was a tasteful sharing. Very tasteful.
So, yeah, let's. We've been covering this on Skyfire News for a minute, right?
This is juicy.
Ashton's whole thing. We covered when he first broke, right, that Rogan had reached out to him and then kind of backed away. And then we covered when he released the DMs because people in the community were like, Ashton never got reached out to by Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Ashton,
that was a big debate, dude. Ashton, people were like, they were just trying to bury you, bro. They're like, oh, you never got hit up by Joe Rogan. And then the flip was wild when it was like, dude, I did. And they're like, well, yeah, but he's lucky. He's smart enough to see through you, though. It's like, well, what happened?
Yeah. The goalposts are ever moving, right? So the other thing too I want to say is that I was actually supposed to go on the 25th, which was the day that I think he recorded that with Kurt Metzger. So actually, Kurt Metzger replaced me apparently on the show, and that's why like they talked about the videos. That was not just accidental, right? I think he even said that Kurt Metzger had sent him the videos and said you should look at this. So that may have been the impetus for Joe to reach out to me. I'm not 100% sure.
Totally, but so we're about to get to that. So where we last left off before this episode of Rogan aired, right? It was Ashton confirmed got reached out to by Rogan. Rogan was initially super interested in it, right? I think you could see there. You can't really see, but he's like, "Hey, man," you could totally imagine Joe Rogan be like, "Hey, man, I saw the videos. Let's get you on to talk about it," right? Ashton's obviously pumped up, but for whatever reason, within what was it, Ashton? Within like a day or two of when that conversation happened, he was like, "Hey, actually, no. What happened there?"
Yeah, it was like the next day. So I had woken up. I was in the bathroom, getting ready in the morning for work or what have you, and I like to check my DMs and stuff before that. Look at the DMs, and there's Joe Rogan's name in the DMs, and I'm just going, whoa. And I follow all the big podcasters just in case they ever want to DM me. And at first I thought it was fake. I thought I was being scammed. I thought that was a fake account. And then, you know, you click on it, you see the 12.2 million followers, and you're like, okay, holy crap, this is real. And, you know, he's like, I want to talk to you about the plane videos and you know, so you saw that DM. And so I said, yeah, sure, Joe, anytime you want, you know, here's my phone number if you want to call or whatever. And immediately though, had a little bit of concern just because the nature of the videos, and this was, you know, a month and a half ago, you know, at that point, I think we were at the lowest part where many people, even now, of course, think the videos are debunked, which that's fine. I don't care if people think the videos are debunked. But I was concerned that the backlash I would get going on a huge platform like Joe Rogan, because you do have a lot of people that have CNN brain, Reddit brain, that the corridor crew or their source of truth and stuff like that, especially in today's day and age, where they will, of course, you know, try to turn me into a pariah. You know, they're going to make it about me and not about the videos and the evidence, which is what it should be about. So I was a little bit concerned about that, but you don't turn down Joe Rogan no matter what. It's just too big of a platform. You just figure out. And I was thinking in my mind, the way that I would approach it is say, here's the evidence. I don't care what you want to believe. Here's the debunks. I'll let you choose what you want. That's how I would plan on going about it. And I even had planned on retiring right after that as well. And then the next day he came back, and I woke up the next morning, and it was a big letdown because I hadn't told a lot of people, but I told like my parents and people that like would never, you know, believe it, and they wouldn't have anybody to talk to about it anyway. And so, you know, told them, and they're like, okay, wow. Cause they know who Joe Rogan is. At least they're not tapped into everything, but they know Joe Rogan.
Were they concerned with how much you had been spending of your life about this plane? Right. I could imagine.
They don't talk to me about it. Like there's like a rule that we don't talk about the plane stuff. Yeah. And because they are old school liberals and full CNN brain, like my dad still reads the New York Times every day, that kind of stuff, gets like all the papers. And so, you know, for them, and like I can talk about it with my mom a little bit. She's a little bit more open to it, but I can really only like give little updates on, oh, I'm going to go do this podcast or that podcast. I can't like dig into too much of it.
Yeah. So you get reached out to, and then within 24 hours, he
comes back. He's clearly seen the Reddit related to the videos, the one that I've been banned from. And he saw the pinned tweets that they have up there, which is exactly what the debunkers want people to do. That's why they have them pinned up there. Is they want people to look at that and not look at the videos. They want them to walk away from it. These videos are a huge threat, not just to the government, but to people's worldviews out there as well. And so he saw that. He saw the Danny Jones podcast because he sent it to me, the link to the Danny Jones podcast, which made me believe that he had seen the Corridor Crew thing as well, and said, I think this is a hoax. I don't feel comfortable. I'm gonna have to back out of this. And I kind of had an idea because I had looked at my email that before that, and we were setting up the flight pen and the day and everything. And the person said, oh, there's an issue. We'll have to get back with you. And I was like, oh crap. That's when I saw the DMs from Joe Rogan. And I sent back a couple paragraphs of saying like, look, here's the situation. I've done all these podcasts. The two that I did me dirty. I told him I'm not trying to scam anybody or anything like that. I'm not trying to promote anything. And I gave him the counter to the debunks, which is from the cloud. There's no chance there's 2D cloud pictures in these videos because we have two different videos from different perspectives. We have clouds that match in the same locations in both of them, which means you have to have a 3D model. But the best evidence is the flash. The zap actually accurately illuminates the clouds in 3 dimensions. Which to get the flash to accurately illuminate like that, you can't do that in 2 dimensions. You need to have a full 3D diorama to pull that off. And if you have a 3D diorama, you can't have a 2D picture. So, the thing is that it just goes to show how easy it is to hide this stuff. But if you play the clip, I think that the part in the clip that Kurt Metzger actually did, even though he made the joke about autism, guys, that's not that big a deal. I'm not offended by that in any way.
It's honestly kind of a compliment. So yeah, let's get into this.
In this what I want to say
I think it is a compliment. He's like talking about the research and the way you dug into this, you know. Like,
and he pushes back, which is what I like a lot. Like that's a big thing. It tells me that people do have some critical thinking ability. And what you'll see here is I like the way he pushed back to Joe because I wanted to push back in the same way because Joe Rogan's subreddit hates him. Like if you go to the Joe Rogan Experience subreddit, even Jimmy Corsetti actually says he got banned from the subreddit after he showed up on Joe Rogan. We had like a big talk about that offline. And like they hate Joe Rogan. They think Joe Rogan's a big like alt-right kind of propagandist and stuff like that. And so I'm going, why are you going and reading Reddit, dude? Your own subreddit hates you. And this is me in the back of my mind. I didn't want to tell Joe this. But as you'll see here from Kurt Metzger, I mean, he calls out the CNN thing too, which I was planning on calling out to Joe Rogan and going, dude, how are you going to believe experts and fact checkers? Like, they literally said that they didn't color your picture when you were sick with COVID. Yeah. They obviously did.
You got to reach out to the guy. He literally called Joe Rogan CNN brain, like on his own show. But what was interesting, what we didn't know, right, which honestly, as soon as I heard this, I was like, of course, this is how it went down, right? We learned who was the person in the UFO community that kind of got Joe off to not be interested in it so much, right? So we knew he had seen the Collider video, but chat, just in case anyone in the live chat hasn't seen this clip yet, who do you think it was from the UFO community that
are we gonna call him out right now?
Told Joe that those videos are nothing. Don't worry about it. That guy's nothing. Does anyone have any guesses? We'll save a bit for maybe the chat to go. But this was shocking to me too. I mean, it was shocking, but not shocking too. But do you have any thoughts when we heard this name?
Yeah, I was shocked. There have been some recent news that I think added to the shocking nature of this reveal, in my opinion. And like, to think that there are gatekeepers in the community, like blocking people from being able to just research and look into something, is kind of astounding to me. That's my opinion. This should be all hands on deck. The idea of like heading off an important person from looking at something, it's almost like people don't respect each other's intelligences, that they think they need to be protected. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting these weird reports, and yes, we're getting reports that there are people calling people, other podcast hosts, all in the background to prevent them from speaking to this person or that person. That's gatekeeping. That's censorship.
And I know it's been happening. It's been happening the whole time I've been talking about these videos. I've had basically every podcaster that was publicly known that I would be on their show tell me that they're getting emails and messages that are defamatory, that are just objectively false. Yeah, people saying that I was stealing in investigation stuff. Guys, I've got a 14-page list of evidence I've been streaming every night. It's wild that people do that in this community.
The interesting thing about that story in particular, the people who asked you, Ashton, or claimed you had been stealing their research, these guys really believed, this group in particular really believed, that this was a real event, that the videos had some validity to them. And funny enough, they're related, at least tangentially, to the source of Joe Rogan's like, hey, his tip.
And I'll just add real quick before we play this, what you said is totally true, Ashton. I've had so many people come up to me and say, people have been lying to me about you for months, and I didn't know how to approach you or what to do, or if it's true or not. And it took me like months of like watching your behavior, your character, your deportment to like really do that. And this is multiple people. So we know this happens.
Red and I got told that 2 weeks ago. Red and I were told 2 weeks ago, hey, dude, I've been getting emails and DMs about you two specifically for over 6 months, and I didn't know what to do with this. I just watched and to see how you guys can like compose yourself and what you did, and I've determined it was all BS. It was all BS. And then Red, we were in a Twitter Spaces. I was told the same thing from someone completely unrelated. So there's a fair amount of stuff going on. Chat, if you guys have been contacted about Ashton. Let us know.
Or Red in a DM. All right, so let's get to this first clip. We're just going to play the part where he says who the person is that told him. All right, let's go.
About the UFO thing.
Oh, wait,
yeah. We were talking about the UFO thing.
Oh.
You had sent me a video of a UFO thing that I sent to Jeremy Corbell, and he says it's bullshit.
Which one?
The one where the plane gets circled by the drone.
Damn!
Oh.
Perfect timing.
Corbell, dude.
Jeremy Corbell, you snake, Jeremy Corbell, you snake. He's been following me this whole time. Wouldn't reply to any DMs that I would send him, and then he's got the audacity to tell Joe Rogan that he thinks it's fake. To sabotage me going on there. This is the guy that his thumbnail creators, this fettuccine split guy who's making fake accounts and buying fake followers to attack Brian Johnson. I mean, come on, man. Come on, Jeremy. Is Jeremy, are you actually, sorry, JC, are you actually even for disclosure at this point?
Have patience on me. Don't give up on me. I'm on cosmic time.
But seriously, so I'm just to be honest, I don't think Jeremy Corbell is a disinformation agent. I do think that he's being manipulated. I think that he's getting information that is potentially not all true. and that he's acting on that. And I also, here's what I've concluded from this interaction. I think that in Jeremy Corbell's mind, it has to be aliens. And anybody who thinks that it's not aliens, he thinks is disinformation. That's what my opinion is on him. Because I went back to the video where he says that Commander Fravor was told by the CIA that it was Lockheed Martin technology in the Tic Tac video. And that blew me away, because I've sitting here and independently have determined, I think that at least maybe most of this is Lockheed Martin technology. And I'm not ruling out aliens, but why do we not think that our third-party contractors can have reverse engineered this technology or figured it out ourselves? That seems like it should be obvious. So I don't know what Jeremy Corbell's deal is here, but I've seen Jeremy Corbell's stuff for the last 6-7 years that I've been looking into this, and he's never posted anything nearly even a fraction as credible as these videos are, with as much body of knowledge. And like I said on my stream last night, like a full story of a real event that happened that goes along with them, that is corroborated by the videos, that the real story is corroborated by them. So to me, I think that that's just, and it's kind of messed up that Joe Rogan just called him out there too, because what does he think, how I'm going to react when I see that about it? Like he just got told exactly what he thought. And I've been wondering what Jeremy Corbell thought. I've been wondering what people like Ross Coulthart thought, although I already knew what Ross Coulthart thought. And this is the part where the UFO community has no idea. They just don't know the implications. What I was saying on Chad and Sherry earlier just now was that UFO community can only see this far in front of their face. It's the type of situation where they've all got their own preconceived notions for what they think the phenomenon's got to be. And they don't see the bigger picture, the future of what this leads to. This kind of technology is paradigm shifting. This kind of technology is kind of technology that can be used as a weapon. It's a national defense situation. And when you look at it through that perspective, I think that a lot of what we've seen in the history of ufology begins to make sense. So that maybe we did reverse engineer this, maybe we found it. I don't know. I don't know that aspect of it. I don't like to tell people when I'm not sure. But this technology is real and it's out there. And I think we do ourselves a disservice by chopping each other down, even though I just did that to Jeremy Corbell. But we do a disservice as well where we get into our own biases about what it must be, because then we can't get to the truth about it. I'm going to throw a little bit more fire too, is that I know that Jeremy Corbell knows Tim Burchett as well. So I think he not only has been sabotaging me to Joe Rogan, but I think he's also been sabotaging me to certain congressmen as well, potentially saying that they think that the videos are fake and that I am not coming from a place of honesty, which nothing could be further from the truth. Whether or not I'm right or wrong about the videos, I am not lying about anything. And I think that I've proven that time and time again.
I believe that we've been sabotaged to congressmen. Me and
that's actually, this is going to sound apparent. It's actually true. Now, my beef here with Jeremy Corbell being the source of this, I think it rings a lot of alarm bells for me. Here's a guy, Jeremy, you say to weaponize our curiosity, but you won't even let Joe Rogan explore a subject with his own curiosity. You got to head that off. Like, it sounds like you're weaponizing your Rolodex to make sure that certain people don't get voices on certain platforms, which to me, I wouldn't be afraid if someone was saying something that wasn't true. Just let him go on there and let Joe Rogan discern for himself. He's an intelligent person, what Ashton is spitting. You know what I mean? That sounds like the appropriate move. I think it displays a lot of fear about like someone's control over a narrative if they're taking that much time out of their day to prevent someone from hearing an idea. Let the idea fall flat on its face if that's where it's going to go, right? But don't prevent other people from hearing it. It doesn't sound right, especially when we're supposed to be weaponizing our curiosity. We're supposed to be like, you know what I mean, digging deep. No one's dug as deep as Ashton has in this MH370 thing for a lot of topics that people claim to be super passionate about. I hear a lot of talk about Cash Landrum, a lot of talk about Roswell, but I never see the data or the stuff put together in the way that Ashton's put it together. And there wasn't a paywall between me and the research Ashton was putting out. There wasn't one. I was able to access that anyway, and figure out for myself if it's good or bad. It'll fall on its face or it'll rise to the top. But preventing people from seeing it, that just doesn't sound right for me.
Yeah, imagine if you flip the roles where, like, let's say I'm the person that knows Joe Rogan and Jeremy Corbell is coming out with the jellyfish alien ship thing, right? And then he's trying to get it on Joe Rogan. I would not tell Joe Rogan not to talk to him. I wouldn't say that it's bullshit. I would say, I don't know, it doesn't seem very anomalous, but I think you should talk to the person and get all the evidence and the information around it, because I think it's an interesting conversation. That's honestly what I would say in terms of Joe Rogan. I would never say, oh yeah, I think that's bullshit, don't look into it. That to me is just weird, man.
Kind of a red flag, dude.
Big red flag.
Sean Cahill
heavy-handed.
said some interesting things. But what you were saying, Tupa, no one's really gone Ashton mode on things like this kind of plays into this next little segment we're going to play. And Ashton, we're going to listen to it, and then we're just listen to it, and then we'll get your reaction.
Okay, so like I know that video went around, but I was listening to that autistic man talking about the ins and outs of how they looked at it.
Yeah.
All right, Ashton, what do you feel like to hear yourself be called that autistic man on the biggest platform like in the world?
In the world.
Biggest platform in the world. Honestly, felt kind of good. It was pretty funny because he's a comedian. I didn't take it that seriously, and as you guys will see right after this, like not only did he talk about this on Joe Rogan, which I'm very happy about to talk and show the videos, but he actually then defends against the debunks that are out there, which shows that he's seen some of my stuff and some of my work out there. So Kurt Metzger, if you're out there, thank you very much for doing this. You have a free pass to call me autistic as much as you want out there. Doesn't hurt my feelings even in the slightest. But I thought it was really funny.
Get him on your stream, Ashton.
Yeah, maybe. It was great though. I mean, I even made a joke about it this morning. Just like, good morning to everybody who's been called autistic on Joe Rogan.
It's a flex, in my opinion.
Dude, to even be mentioned or acknowledged on that platform is wild, dude. But
and that's why I like. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
I mean, but to have it like this thing kind of blow up as like not an expose, but I mean, we found out the UFO community found out some juice on this. They weren't just casually talking about the case. We found out why, like, we reported on the Joe Rogan thing pretty heavily. Like, it was a big contention point for the community. And now to find out that we have more clues on who did it, why it happened, we got more questions to ask now, dude. Like,
I mean, I couldn't be happier about how this is playing out, just to be honest with you guys. I've been honest the whole time, even to my own detriment at some points. And sometimes that's led to contention with other people as well.
Yeah.
But this is exactly how I wanted to play out, especially with the retirement angle on it. Is that when I step away from the retirement of the investigation, it allows like a different life to be kind of breathed into the videos, where now people can look at it without trying to connect it directly to me, where people can look at it and realize I'm not somebody who's trying to grift. I'm not somebody who's trying to steal money from people or whatever. And it was just me trying to look into something that was highly, highly anomalous. And I think that as you've seen from the various people that have posted this on social media, it's actually put a little bit of resurgence in it. I've got even more podcast requests where people want to talk about it now after that I've retired, because people look at it now and they can kind of look at it through an unbiased lens. And I think that when they do that, the evidence is so compelling that it's very hard to ignore. So for the haters out there, what I would say is these videos are never going away. Not ever. They're just never going away. That's just not going to happen.
So are you officially unretiring?
No, I'm still definitely retired, and I'm going to try to still do less podcasts, but I've been looking at my calendar, and it's, for the next week, it's pretty much going to be like every day that I've got something happening. I've got some big ones coming up too, guys.
Bro, thank you so much. We love you for coming here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time, dude.
So,
yeah, it's pretty sweet.
This was, I found this super fascinating. It's almost like reality is a memer, bro. Like, God loves his memes. Like, of all the things that Rogan could do, it's the one where you said your butthole thing about, right? So, this is what happened. This is what case closed it for Joe Rogan.
Nephilim from the Bible, all that bullshit, and I don't think.
See that thing, that boom is actually
that's from a video game.
That's from a video game.
No, it's not. It doesn't match up.
But it does match up. It does match up, except for some parts of it where it looks like it's partially altered. But obviously, if you're going there's a video that breaks it down how it matches up. Not only does it match up, the edges match up precisely at certain points of it. It looks like an altered version of that image that's like a stock footage of some kind of explosion, and you're doing it through filters and you're adjusting the way the image looks. But a visual effects guy went over it and he explained multiple reasons why he thinks it's fake.
Well, that's a good
Someone
point.
who's an actual expert.
Well, you should know that if
Dude, they put salt in the wound, bro. Yeah. They salted that wound, and I felt the salt on that in that wound.
Yeah, that was a good initial debunk, but I was able to fight through that debunk. This debunk comes from Mick West on August 19th, 2023. I have all the receipts out there. It didn't come from the Corridor Crew, didn't come from the Lore Lodge or anyone else. They were all just reading it from Metabunk, which came directly from Mick West, which came from a one-day-old Reddit account that is most likely Mick West. There's not a lot of people that have to hide their identity on Reddit. Mick West is one of the only people who has to. It was used to make it so that people stop talking about the videos. It's very clear that someone used a search engine to look for an effect that would be close enough that they could trick the world that it would match. They only even tried to compare it on one frame, and they only show you the edges because the middle doesn't match at all in that. And the kicker is this, is that when you look at how stock effects work, you do not modify them. That's the whole point of stock effects. I have a lot of fake VFX experts and people who are in complete denial argue this against me. This is a statement of fact. You do not modify them. Just to drive it home, the Killing Time video game did not modify the Pyromania VFX. The Attack on Titan commercial did not modify the Pyromania VFX. The Starship Troopers cult movie did not modify the Pyromania VFX, because the whole point of stock effects is so that you don't have to modify it or create something else. It's to save you time.
Now, there's a lot of truth to that. As a video editor and like someone who messes special effects and even audio, like a lot of people just drag and drop those sounds. They don't really have to mess with them, right? It's not common to edit them. I mean, one example that's great is the Wilhelm scream. If you guys are familiar with that scream that's in every movie, like that's famous. That's used everywhere. I think it was first originally on like an episode of Gunsmoke or something. You know, we have backstage right now a guy who also edits video. He had a degree in journalism. Kimball's backstage right now. I want to see what Kimball has to say about this episode since he's here.
Well, and before we, let's just finish up this thing where he calls him a CNN brain, and then we'll
because he actually, this is great, because I was literally going to tell this to Joe Rogan, and I just didn't want to offend him. But I love when he said this. Honestly, just big props to Kurt Metzger. Again, you get a free pass. Call me autistic as much as you want, because not only did you fight back on the effect not matching, which it doesn't, and for the additional record, all Taylor set off blast waves, you can do the same thing with the Edge, like Joe Rogan argues. Every single Taylor set off blast wave has the same type of ripple effect. That Level 39 on Twitter posted 3 different effects that exactly match the Edge, just like that. And even before this, people were arguing that it could be a supernova or an ink drop and all these other things before they found this effect that is similar to it. So that, I'm glad he did that. And then when he brings up the CNN thing right here, chef's kiss.
The guy went over it, and he explained multiple reasons why he thinks it's fake.
Well, that's a good
Someone
point.
who's an actual expert.
But you should know that a visual effects guy, expert, also went over if CNN discolored your face, and he said they didn't.
Come on.
You think
Did
I'm
they really?
We
This
on
is a
Jimmy.
CNN hired guy.
Does he not know?
Here's the point.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Does he not know that the CNN did that? Like, I couldn't understand his reaction there. Was he really not aware that they've fact checked the coloration change thing? I mean, if people don't know about this, CNN changed the coloration when Joe Rogan had COVID to make him look white like a ghost, so that he looked sicker than he was, because he was going out there saying, I just took some vitamins and I'm fine and I'm not really that sick. And so CNN modifies it and puts a different filter on it to make it look like he's super sick. True. And I think that there's a fact check out there. I want to check this out. That basically says, no, they didn't change the filters. That's the real picture, which of course it's not. You can see the side by side of it.
They orange Trump up, right? They greened out Joe Rogan to make him look sick. They make Joe Biden look alive. We got Kimball. Kimball, welcome to the show, dog. Good to have you here. Do you think, I mean, I want to know, what do you think about Joe Rogan being like greened out by CNN and this idea of disregarding the
dude, I'm looking at the clip right now.
Based on Jeremy Corbell's idea, right?
Welcome, Kimball.
Thank you. What's up, guys?
What up, man? Kimball?
I like your set.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very classy. I'm very jealous.
I like this,
vibey,
dude.
right?
Yeah, super vibey, dude.
So wait, Corbell went on Rogan and said the orb video was fake. What happened?
Corbell called Rogan and told him that the whole MH370
Well, Joe Rogan reached
bullshit.
out to Corbell, but he says that he thought the videos were bullshit. Yeah, that's the clip.
Well, I
don't know what to think of that.
I love this anime. We got animated Kimball in the mix, dude.
I figured we might as well, because this is the clip that did it, right? He was talking about this. This is a top 5, top 3, maybe the best Ashton moment. I don't know. It's up there though. I figured we'd watch it first.
Because I was on Vetted today, and I actually said that this. I knew when I brought this, made this analogy, that people were going to attack me over it, even though it's a 100% true analogy. Is that two things that look similar don't necessily exactly match. But okay, let's do it. Let's go ahead. Let's
go.
I love the analogy, and I honestly think, say whatever you will about this videos, I think that the Pyromania VFX is really one of the weakest debunks. But yeah,
teleportation of the airplane at the end, this shockwave, which looks really cool. But this is stock footage, and it's stock footage from the 90s. I can show you the original stock footage element.
Hold on, watch.
Here it is right here.
Yep, let's watch it together. That's not the same.
And it's a really cool stock footage element, pretty obscure. You haven't seen a lot of it. But if you line it up over the footage here, which I did, so here's that stock footage frame.
I took one frame.
Just zoom this in a little bit. And I'm going to switch in my opacity between the stock footage frame and the infrared thermal frame with the UFO video. Well, if we go back and forth, we see that they perfectly line up.
They definitely not perfectly
The
line up.
ripples are all in this same spot.
How can people say that's the same? Do they not look at the middle here at all? Like, is Joe Rogan really falling for this? Like, this blows my mind. Like,
same.
This Nico guy clearly just looked at the one that was on Metabunk from Mick West. He didn't come up with this or anything that he's showing right here. This is why you see me talking over it, because I couldn't believe that he was trying to push this. That wasn't even his own idea, where this guy is supposedly the VFX expert. Even Joe Rogan says that he's a VFX expert, but he doesn't even come up with his own ideas. Like, this
and
is
what
the
always
part
got
where-
me with this one was it was always like 3/4 of the thing, right? And there was never any before or after, and even the 3/4 thing wasn't 100% accurate.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like it's a little accurate here and there, but like 20% of it is not what it should be. Like 100%.
Yeah.
A few seconds before, a few seconds after. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's not a forensic analysis at all. I actually like the Corridor crew. I like what they do. I think their stuff is really entertaining. The shorts they make and all that stuff, I think it's great. But with this, they clearly had a conclusion they worked backwards from. And with people who do this stuff, people who do special effects, they're going to think that it was all done with special effects no matter what. And they're going to think of ways that they would have done it. What we don't have is a faithful recreation of something using the elements they said they used, right, to create something this realistic with technology from 2014. Like, that's like, we need to go full forensic. What computer was used? What video card was used? How did they run this so fast? I understand finding the assets and stuff, or thinking you found the assets, but walking.
Which honestly, while we're I think we still might try and talk to that guy who's going around saying that he made it. Just pick his brain.
for sure.
Ash,
We
you're
gotta
obviously
talk
more
to
than
him.
welcome.
No, I mean, you can, but he got totally debunked. He messed up, and of course, when you lie, you're always going to get caught in the lie. And he claimed, this is what I've heard, at least he can say it himself, that the place that he uploaded it didn't even exist back when the videos got uploaded. It wasn't even in the beta state at that point. So this is the problem when you get stuck in a tangle of web of lies, is that you're going to get caught in something where it's verifiably false. And it shouldn't be that surprising. Once you read his profile, you can tell this isn't somebody who is potentially got all their screws together. So it's unfortunate that people do that. There's scammers out there that do that, but as you guys know, it's not that unusual for MH370, unfortunately.
No, this case has been so weird. But yeah, let's finish up the whole
Yeah.
thing, and then I think we're done with all the stories. So quick, fun stream. Ashton, thank you for being here, bro. But this is.
Real quick too, before we jump into this, I
Yeah.
pulled up the AP fact checked the Joe Rogan thing. It said false. An analysis of the video used by CNN in a report about the talk show host Joe Rogan contracting COVID-19 found no sign that the color had been altered. CNN confirms no changes were made to the color of the video. Sorry, Joe Rogan, I'm gonna have to go call bullshit. No, you actually were sicker than you claim to be. Turns out that whatever you thought about your own health was incorrect. CNN is the correct one. It's been debunked.
There you go. All right. We're going to continue with the classic Ashton moment. And
The burnt in dots here in the same spot. It's that element.
Wait. All right,
Like,
pause
there's
it.
no
Pause
ifs,
it. Yeah, pause it. So as a statement of fact, those do not match. And all I have to say to counter is how many pixels match.
Pause. Are you wearing the same shirt right now? Hell yeah.
Am I? Oh, I might be.
You are.
Hell
Guys,
yeah.
I only have so many. I have like 20, 25 shirts, and I've been on like 80 podcasts. So
they're gonna
give
repeat
me a little
it.
bit of a break. Plus,
You
you
get all the break. You get all the
You
break.
get all the breaks, bro.
Do we want to ask our expert?
Dude, it is fucking exact.
It's
Friend
not,
of the
though.
show
That's the problem.
as
It's
well.
not an exact match. That's the issue.
So how
every pixel would have to be in the same spot, and they're not. Now, all I have to say is how many pixels match. That's all I have to say.
No, it's not, because look, you're compositing an effect into a new video, right? You're using an effect that was clearly made in the 90s, and you're bringing it onto a video that was produced in 2014, right? Now he's clearly inverting the colors, right? So what's to say there's no expanding of it?
Did he
warping of
those
the
dots on there as well?
Yeah, show when he's doing the opacity. See those two dots? See the big one and see the little one up
Switch it
top?
back over to the other one. Yeah, let him
Go back to where he's going over
I
the.
actually have. We'll go into it later because I actually have the.
Watch.
So you see the extra dots, right?
Yep, see them? Watch.
And now they're going to disappear.
Well, if you go back and forth,
They don't. They don't. Look, they're there. The black dot's right there.
Scroll down just a little, like keep your mouse right near the. I mean, I've got the version of this, so no worries. Just keep going. Let's see what else
perfectly
he's got.
line up, right?
It's perfect.
It's not though. You see that the black actually does not line up, right? You see how it's not the same on the edges, how it's like close, but it's not a perfect match. So this is the reason that.
So how are all of those little wave ripples? How are those so perfectly matching what's in the video?
Because all dispersal patterns, all dispersal patterns look the same. This is like saying that my butthole is your butthole because they're similar, right? It's not. We don't have the same butthole because of that. In fact, And that's the point, is that just because shapes are similar, and again, this is one frame, and even on this one frame, it's not a perfect match. You can even tell in the middle, it's not even close. You can see there's extra dots.
Danny is flabbergasted.
He was so upset after this.
Yeah.
Like, he was 1,000% sure that he was going to debunk me and bring me on his show to debunk me, and that he had his corridor crew experts lined up, that he has video lined up, that this was going to be it. He thought for sure, too, he was going to get me sweating and find a clip of me sweating, which is why earlier in this, like, he keeps telling me to look at the video instead of, like, talking and typing, because he wanted to get a clip of me looking like I was sweating to dishonestly post. It was super scummy, especially the part 2 where he says we're going to take a break, and then he keeps the recording going and then plays that through, because I guess in his mind, he thought that I was a scammer and that, like, I'm going to let my guard down or something and tell the truth. And then he was going to reveal that. Like, that's the exact impression I got. I had the feeling, even when I was talking to Julian Dory, that these guys were Redditors. I was almost 100% sure just talking to them in general. And I found out a few weeks ago that Julian Dory 100% is. Found his Reddit account.
Redditor.
Julian Dory is a Redditor.
Oh, 100% these guys are. And the problem there is that these guys are not guys that they believe in, like, whatever the authority tells them, whatever the experts tell them is what they think has to be true. Regardless, like those guys Nico made like 8 false statements in a row that I was able to refute right then and there. And he still goes, well, you should just believe him. Like, what? This is Reddit brain patient 0 type situation. It's like, it doesn't even matter what you say is true or false. What matters is how you make me feel and what my friends tell me. Like, that's the crazy part.
I'll just add this. We touched on it real quick. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but I like Danny Jones and Julian Dory. I think they're both great guys. And even in one of our spaces when we were doing only Skyfire News spaces, I think you guys kind of had a little, like, I don't know, like things were a little vibey, weird, and now it's all cool. But it talks into what we were talking about, because when that whole thing happened before Skyfire News was even a thing, right? We held a space with Ashton, Julian Dory, and Danny Jones. And Julian Dory told us that he was getting calls about Ashton, right? So this goes into the whole thing of, like,
yes,
how these calls, people are telling me in too, but I've been getting calls about you, emails about you for 6 months. This is how these things play in, because whatever you want to say about these dudes, I like them. They've never had an interview like that, either of them, on both sides of this event, right?
Well,
they haven't.
You're right. I think that's a great point. You have to highlight that a lot of Julian Dory and Danny Jones's podcasts are not confrontational that way. I like them. I like their podcast. I think they talk to some very interesting people, a lot of very connected CIA people.
Yeah.
I have not gotten the vibe that they are, Reddit brain or whatever, but it makes sense that they are in like, what's the word? Like, a lot of people talk to them. And what it looks like to me is that the same thing happened to them, because their platforms are big. They're hardworking guys. They worked hard to build that platform up. It's competing in some ways with Joe Rogan, right? They're in the same kind of mix because their consistency and the quality work they're doing. I think that they were hit up the same way. I think that, like, people are out there turning people against each other.
What the fuck is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to us?
And the worst part is, I think they probably both thought they were doing, like, the right thing, right? Because the way situations and whatnot are framed for people.
Oh, I think so. I think I would not think that they would try to, like, damage your reputation or get a gotcha on someone that they just were told to do. I don't think that at all. I'm not trying to dig into the conspiracy, but, like, what it seems like is that they really did genuinely think that the whole MH370 idea and research was a scam or a psyop from another country or something. Like,
that's what I think they thought too, 100%. I mean, that's my interaction from them. And, again, I have nothing personal against them, although they definitely did me dirty. I mean, that's just the state of the facts of the situation. But I think that they've gotten their own backlash from it. I mean, I think Julian Dory saw it firsthand, how much backlash he got from it, and deleted the video off of YouTube, both of them, over it. And Danny Jones got a huge amount as well. And I think that if these videos end up being real, they'll get even more backlash, which they do. They deserve that. I mean, I think that should be a lesson for podcasters, not just for them, but all podcasters in general, is don't have people come on your show to try to tear them down. You should never do that for any reason whatsoever.
Especially in this field.
Yeah, and especially in this field when we're talking about, especially when you do interviews with people who claim to lost their V cards to aliens and they're summoning orbs on the beach, like, this is not the kind of field where you should be trying to tear people down at all. Same goes back to Jeremy Corbell and what have you. The only time it's even remotely appropriate is if both sides know ahead of time that that's going to be the case, like with Alex Jones and that rabbi today. I don't know if you saw that, but it was really funny, where they know it's going to be contentious in general. But both Danny Jones and Julian Dory had me sign releases, although Julian Dory's I never signed, which when I read it, I was happy never to sign it because any guys, and this is just anyone who goes on podcasts, never sign a release ever. If they're trying to make you sign something, you just cancel the interview right away. The only time they're going to try to make you sign something is if they're about to do you super dirty and they're trying to protect themselves from illegal ramifications. And that's what those guys were doing. And at the time, I didn't know that because this was like back in October and I had only done one in-person podcast with Tony.
And it was great. That guy was super
great.
nice.
It was awesome. He was awesome. So that should be a lesson for everybody out there. Yeah. So again, nothing personal against those guys. I think they'll get the backlash they deserve in general. And hey, you know what, guys? If these videos end up being fake or whatever, it's on me. I've thrown myself out there. I've put myself out there. I've attached myself to the videos. People will make fun of me for the rest of my life if this ends up being fake and it can be conclusively proven. But the thing about it at this point is that the nice thing about retiring from the investigation is there's no reason for people to continue to try to invent debunks related to it. So if somebody now comes out with some weird, mysterious debunk, it's going to look very weird at this point because I'm not even investigating it anymore. And I think that that's what, if these videos are real, let's just assume that for just a second. The government is still needs to get people to forget about these. They still need to try to discredit these because there's still too much attention on them. They're in the zeitgeist right now. They need like a fake person to come forward and come out with these, with like, you know, a version of these that doesn't have the plane in them or something and say, oh, this is where they got made from or something like that. But now if that happens, it's going to look extremely suspicious. Just
Seems like they're setting something up. They're setting up some kind of like public refined or public case closed. But I just want to reiterate, and let's just watch it again, because what we're talking about, these calls that people get, these things. If Julian Dory and Danny Jones weren't getting calls from people, the same calls that people give about me and Tupa, right? And if Joe Rogan wasn't getting calls, like we see how these things that might seem small at the time, when Julian Dory told us that people were calling him about Ashton that are about provable lies, it finds its way all the way up
See
here.
that thing, that boom is actually that's
a video game.
That's from a video game.
No, it's
So there you go. That's how these things happen. It's honestly, whoever's pulling all the strings on this thing is doing it beautifully at times. I got to admit,
it's compartmentalized as hell, right? It's compartmentalized. No one really knows it's happening. If we weren't talking right now about the phone calls happening behind the scenes, I don't think even our listeners would know. I would have never assumed this would happen in this community where we're supposed to be sharing information, getting our ideas out, diving deep into topics and sharing what we find. Like, that sounds so simple and common sense, right? I did not anticipate that a year or 2 years into hanging out on UFO Twitter, I would be getting calls and pictures of DMs from people showing me that, hey, behind the scenes, dude, people are making phone calls about you every day, dude. People are coming to people in your Twitter spaces, dude, and DMing them. I had random people come into my Twitter spaces or X spaces now being like, dude, I just got a ton of DMs from people saying that you're this and you're that and you're this. And they were just a listener in my space. How many hours are invested in controlling the narrative? It's kind of alarming.
Yeah, and this is the part too where this is what I said early on with these videos, is that if we know these videos are real from the evidence that we've put forth, let's look and see how people react. We can learn a lot about the disinformation attempts by watching how people react. We just saw the biggest platform on earth that Joe Rogan gets convinced by the disinformation attempts that are out there. And now we know some of the people that are feeding him that disinformation. Jeremy Corbell directly has never talked to me. A guy has never talked to me before, has gone out there and told Joe Rogan he thought those videos were fake. A guy that supposedly is somebody that's for disclosure, that pushes videos himself out there that he doesn't even really try to defend afterwards and claims that they're real, that he himself has been debunked many times. You would think that he would have the most empathy for anybody else who's trying to get information out there. This is very revealing about the machinations that happen behind the scenes.
Good point. You know, we've talked a lot about the negative aspects of UFO community. There is some fun stuff, though. I want to end it on a high note. This is UFO Twitter Week. It's like Shark Week on Twitter, dude. This comes multiple times a year, but we're always glad to see it. And UFO Twitter Week, it just kind of blows up. So if you're not familiar with it, go check it out. We have UFO Twitter's very own Kimball Mortensen, who's going to come in and tell us what's been cracking off. There were some big spaces today. There's big gets, big guests, and I think it's an important little temperature check. So without further ado, Kimball, what is up, man?
What up? What up? I'm back. My camera said it was overheating, so I'm just
we had that same problem over on this side a couple times. We feel you.
Yeah, dude. UFO Twitter Week's been awesome. So today there was like a Brit space, all the British people over there talking about UFOs. Sean Cahill came into space, which was really cool.
No way.
Yeah. And then let's see. Yesterday, Holly had a really good space as well. Nick Gold had a space that I loved.
Dude,
he talked about his UFO experience. It was pretty
Friend
sweet.
of the show.
Now, like, we love Nick Gold. He's super. He's kind of political, but he is such a character, dude. Like, and he talked about his own experience. How long did that show go on for? And was it recorded? Can we go back
for
and
like
listen?
at least an hour? And then he did like Q&A at the end, which was cool. So yeah, it's been a sweet. It's been an awesome week already.
Oh, Alan Steinfeld is in a space with Mellow Demon right now.
Yeah, I gotta
Nash's about to
over
join
that
that
a
space in a second. So yeah, let's just show the people. Oh, just kind of a little too zoomed, isn't it?
That's the whole flyer, folks. Get a magnifying glass.
Massive.
Dude, this is great though. I mean, this is the effort. This is all volunteer work, or unless it's made by a CIA agent. This is all volunteer work. But look at they organize different spaces, different times you can go in and learn stuff. If you have any curiosities about UFOs, remote viewing, this is kind of like one of those flurry weeks you want to get in there and go check it out. And of course, they got UFO week or UFO Twitter week trending right now, so that's great. Let's see, what is it? March 28th. What do we got to look forward to tomorrow? Abductions with James Bartley and Fringe. Fringe is a great community member. Remote viewing with Astral. If you feel a certain way about remote viewing, that's fine. It's a weird process. We got Consciousness and Disclosure with Hollywood and Grant Cameron at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. That's about to start, or it already is starting now. So if you guys didn't get enough of UFOs on tonight's show, I suggest slide into UFO Twitter Week, find a good spaces for now. Kimball, thank you so much for catching us up to speed on that. Ashton, this has been amazing. The fact that this happened on Joe Rogan, we were following the story, and you're able to give us enough time to come here and talk to us about it, dude. Like, amazing. Amazing.
Anytime. Big friend of the show.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
and I guess before we close out, I'm just gonna play a little music and just shout out. We had some people become members tonight, right?
Oh yeah, we did, dude.
Welcome to Galactic Getaway.
Oh wait, oops, wrong one. So shouts out again, Armstrong with the $10 super chat. B became a member tonight. Woo! Anthony Jones became a member tonight. Thank you, Anthony. Michael Fergoso, another member. Woo! And Dorothy Hawkins with a $2 super chat. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone there.
Love to see it, Dorothy.
Does it automatically star super chat?
I think it does. Maybe it does or doesn't. But guys, the super chats, we love it. We love seeing you guys participate. We love participating with you guys in the chat. This has become one of the funnest little hubs of ufology and UFO Twitter online, I think, and we're going to continue to grow.
Dude, you guys are killing this stream for real. I love this. It's so cool.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We try to have fun with it. We try to deliver the news as best we can. There's a lot coming out. So a daily news channel is kind of a necessity, right? By the time we come in next week, Simon Holland might have already found the alien pictures.
Oh shit!
Are they sending nudes to us? We don't know. We got to find out.
Nude. It's that one picture of that dude that was like sitting on a bed. You know exactly which one I'm talking about, everyone. But yeah, alrighty then. Great show.
Good show, guys. Gentlemen, until tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you then.
Skyfire News.
Skyfire News. Peace.